All right. So it looks like we're live there. Are we live on YouTube? Looks like we are live on YouTube. So we are live and on the air. Welcome everyone to the Foolish Tech Show. It is a lovely Wednesday afternoon, and we are here primarily to provide you with any support or answer any questions about our products and services. If you'd like to ask those kind of questions or get that kind of support, jump over to foolishtechshow.com, foolishit.com/live, and you have a couple ways you can join our IRC chat.
By the way,
from
that's
there.
two different sites. By the way, that just if you're listening out there and want to get to us, you go to one or the other. They both take you to the same place, but it's not one word. What he just said.
It did say or Foolish Tech Show, Foolish IT.
It came out fast. I just had a hard time understanding it.
You have a hard time understanding a lot of things. So, otherwise, though, if we don't have any
good day to you too, sir.
We don't have any topics on our software services, then we will talk about random tech news and various things like that, and you can help join and direct our conversation from the chat as well. Looks like we got Phoenix posting a bunch of links for us to check out already, and also Beavis in there.
Oh yeah, lots of activity.
So welcome.
Beavis said, change shirts, Michael. That's distracting. Yes, I had on a shirt earlier with my green screen background, and they don't play well together. Okay. And losing my internet connection. Okay, there was some dropped, and that was me. Let's see what's going on here.
Looks like YouTube is back on. Looks like Twitch may be starting back up.
Not sure what that was, guys.
That was your internet.
Yeah. It was my internet, definitely, but I'm not sure. Hopefully that won't happen again. If it does, I'm sorry.
This is what we do with Michael and internet. If you just pay that $5, it'd stop cutting your speeds. Anyway, let's look at some of the links that Beavis, you're a funny guy. Funny stuff, man. So it looks like Easy to Boot has another beta coming out. I'll copy the link and paste it. Phoenix, take a look at this link and take a look at your link, and don't paste all that UTM question mark stuff. It's a crazy link. You could do like a third of that. He also posted about changing your Dropbox passwords because the information came out about the hacker and what they actually got from there. I actually have an additional link on top of that one, I think.
Oh, and Phoenix, that performance monitor, I was taking a look at that. That looked really interesting too. I kind of like it. It does require Linux, but other than that, it's wicked. It's wicked cool.
And what he was talking about was this link that that Phoenix posted. Oh no, that's not the one. The netdata is the one. That one was a IP tables firewall for Linux. This is the one that was the.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. That is the wrong link, isn't it? Is my camera frozen? Jesus.
Yep. It's time for you to format, man. Or at least time for me to continue to pester you to format until you actually do, and your computer works for at least a week or two before you decide to edit the registry again. It looks like someone achieved record-breaking speeds on 4G mobile.
What, the
1.9.
LTE advanced? LTE advanced.
No, I don't know if it's that, but it's 1.9 gigabits per second internet speed achieved over 4G mobile. Doubt that's what Verizon just implemented.
Where did you post a link for that?
Yeah.
Oh, I was scrolled up. Sorry. Okay. What? That sounds. Doesn't that sound closer to 5G?
Yeah, I don't know what that is. So, this one I have no idea what Chainfire or Suhide is, or why you would want to hide your root status on a per app basis. Phoenix, maybe you can offer a little bit more information on that, so I don't have to actually read. This one was kind of old news, and it's not surprising that election state databases have already been hacked to steal voter databases. I feel like that's a fairly common thing. There was also some other news that some of the states were saying, no, we don't want you to come in and check and make sure our stuff is secure because we don't care about our state inhabitants and their data and information. I did think this was an interesting one, that Europe's net neutrality still allows for BitTorrent throttling, which kind of feels like a pretty loophole there, where they can be like, oh, thought that was BitTorrent traffic that I was getting. Oh, you mean that was actually going to my competitor's website?
Well, slow down. So they've implemented something that takes into account apparently some legality with it. So I'm sure they have exceptions like this for other certain situations where people are committing a crime. The thing is, just because somebody's using BitTorrent doesn't mean they're committing a crime, which is I think where it runs afoul there with the.
That's what I'm saying. Is that
yeah,
it is a preferred method of downloading illegal material, but it is not the main reason for that. I would actually think that there's probably
it's only coincidental that it's just like it's a really good way of distributing files across a lot of to a lot of people, and because it is the best way to do that, of course, what would a malicious piece of software, it would pick the best thing, just like a good thing would pick the best thing. But yeah, there's well,
that's not going after malicious things, that's just going after illegal things.
Yeah, anyway,
there's not a lot of malware that uses BitTorrent protocol, is there?
No, not really. But bad guys, bad payers. I mean, yes, people just stealing, whatever you want to call them. But I guess that's what I was lumping them all in one group. But
I mean, even with just the majority of your Linux distro downloads are all done through BitTorrent now. So it's just crazy that they can do that, and that they accept the peer pressure from those stupid copyright content holders.
Throttling in and of itself should be a clear violation of any nation's net neutrality. It's the only way to put your foot down to stop. In other words, net neutrality is not enforceable unless you can at least tackle that issue. Right?
I mean, I completely think that there's going to be situations where people are going to be like, oh, that was my competitor's website I was throttling? I thought it was BitTorrent traffic. Who would have thunk? I'll fix that immediately.
Phoenix points out some very important things. First of all, most distros, Linux distros, are BitTorrent downloadable, and so that
that's what I just said too.
Did you? Okay, I'm sorry. And also that that netdata thing we were talking about can be run on a Raspberry Pi, so that may make it very easy for you and I, Brantley, to play around with it. So that's cool. But yeah, any Linux though, I guess is the thing, and obviously since all the SBCs use Linux, single board computers use Linux, that's pretty much all of them.
I have no idea what you were just talking about there, where you got to the point that you got to from what he said versus what I said, but let's move on past that. Oh, you're talking about the netdata thing. First off, Michael, what are you monitoring?
Well, I mean, we want to monitor our servers, of course, but you know.
Um, the interesting thing on the BitTorrent stuff is that the latest malware on Mac took advantage of the transmission torrent client, which is a fairly popular torrent client as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the second time this has happened. Downloading transmission torrent client and getting your system infected with ransomware or malware on a Mac. So definitely not good publicity for their Mac version, that's for sure. He also posted an article that server ransomware switched to a new extension with a 3, so there's that. We talked about that. Here is a link for another easy to boot bit if you want to install Windows for UEFI booting from easy to boot in MBR mode. There's how you can do that. And I think that covers all the stuff that he had. So thank you for all that awesome information, Phoenix. It's always much greatly appreciated. I have quite a few links as well, starting off with this one, which I thought was pretty interesting. Some researchers went out and mapped the location of all of, or a ton of Netflix content's servers. So their content delivery network has been mapped out at least to just over 4,500 servers. So I did not know that they had that many servers.
I read the story. Yeah. Well, you know, it would make sense. What I thought was interesting was how different that how they deploy their servers in the U.S. and how they do them in other countries. And wasn't the thing regarding the Verizon, interestingly enough, there's 2 servers in IP blocks owned by Verizon for Netflix, and other interesting bits of information. But yeah, this is kind of like the curtain's been pulled off, and you can see behind it now.
So Verizon is giving them 2 servers, or at least 2 IPs for 2 of their servers?
I don't know what the implication is, but they seem, what I read seemed to indicate that it might indicate some testing or something that they're experimenting with. It's unclear, you know, if just based upon this data, what you can, you know, absolutely confirm. But
you can make a lot of assumptions, but not really confirm stuff. So.
Yeah, but it's good to know. Now we can at least ask the questions, you know, like, hey, why is this, you know, and maybe get some interesting answers to it. But that's that was quite interesting to me.
So I also thought this one was cool as well, and I'm posting the Slashdot version of these articles. They have a couple articles linked on them, but honestly, you'll get a lot of good content in the Slashdot comments section. So if you've never checked those out, highly recommend it. They usually do have some good people talking in there. But this one is interesting to me that I was actually watching the Podnuts Linux for Everyone show, or anyone show last night, and Dora had brought this up as well, that Google is dropping the Nexus brand name and even moving away from just having stock Android on those type of devices. I believe Dora had mentioned that the next one was going to be called Google Next, is going to be their new naming convention for that. So honestly, I'm torn on this. My biggest thing with it is that they continue to just pick different mobile carriers, or they continue to pick different mobile distributors or companies to go with on theirs, and I don't really understand that. I'm guessing they're doing a bidding war in the background that we don't know about, but that kind of aggravates me that each of the Nexus phones are almost always a different cell phone company or cell maker. So that already aggravates me with the Nexus stuff.
What's
But
more aggravating is the stock not being stock Android. I think is a concern.
well,
Does that mean that they're just going to start to bloat
the
their?
big thing I think there is that it's not. I don't think they're going to like. I mean, they're obviously not going to add a bunch of bloatware. I think it's just going to be that the stock Android is not going to be what everyone
Okay,
can get.
so you
So
won't be
like,
able to get the cool Google features unless you have one of these, right?
yeah, and I think that's where they are going with that. And I mean, I guess you can look at that like bloatware, but I would doubt that they're going to
Yeah.
move away from having their devices
Since I use so
unlocked.
many
And
Google apps anyway, it's really not.
but I doubt they're going to be moving away from having the phone unlocked and bootloader unlocked and things like that. So that it means you can just put your own stock Android on it if you want to. That's probably one of the greatest things I've always thought about Nexus is that you almost never have to worry about that.
Well,
Um,
that's yeah. I think everyone should give that choice, but they might give that up too. Did they even mention that in this article?
I don't know. I didn't read all into it or a lot into it. I was just going off what I saw on that podcast last night and seeing this Slashdot article about it. And this one even mentions that the next ones are going to be HTC made, which I wouldn't be a fan of either because every HTC phone I've had has some one, like the entire phone is great except for one feature, and that one feature is completely broken to the point where it makes you hate the entire phone. So that's been my experience with HTC. And honestly, the only other phone manufacturer I trust in is Motorola, and they do okay, but man, I don't know. But they did talk a little bit more about the one of the big features that the Next is going to do, which also you're able to do on the Nexus features or phones now as well, which is they're bringing over their Wi-Fi assistant from Project Fi, which it was only available on Project Fi. Now it's available on Nexus devices, and of course, going forward, the Next devices are going to be the same. Um, I really wish they would pick a different name for that, though. Google Next is like a terrible name when you're coming from Nexus to Next. Like that's a horrible move there. But they were talking a little bit more about the Wi-Fi assistant and the features and things about it, and the Cody, I believe, brought up a point that he was worried about Wi-Fi pineapples and having this feature enabled and having it automatically connect to Wi-Fi Pineapple, which I agree would be a concern, and more than likely it would do. But the biggest feature in that Wi-Fi assistant is it connects to trusted networks, known trusted networks like McDonald's, Starbucks, various known network names like that. So it automatically connects to those when it sees one. But the difference there is it creates a encrypted tunnel once it's connected. So it connects to the Wi-Fi, creates an encrypted tunnel, so all of your traffic is going out encrypted over that Wi-Fi, which to me that sounds like an automatic VPN, which you should be using a VPN if you are going to connect to any of those type of networks anyway. So that does save you in some trouble with Next Plus. That does save you some trouble in the fact of your data going over an open network anyway. So I kind of like that feature, and I'm excited to learn more about it. Like I said, it's only been available on Project Fi up to a couple weeks ago, so it's just coming out. We're learning a lot more about it, and as it goes along, I'm sure we'll learn more. But honestly, I feel like almost every cell phone should be doing that. Like it should, if it connects to any wireless network, why isn't it creating an encrypted tunnel and sending all your data out encrypted anyway? Even for the mobile network, hell, why aren't they doing that automatically for everything? That doesn't make sense now that they are doing that for one specific feature set that they have. But Anyway, enough of that ranting. Let's see if I can find that link here for that show last night. I hadn't previously known or watched this show, and I thought it was fairly good. Let's see. Is this the one that was last night? I don't know if this is the one from last night. It shows as posted on the 29th, so I don't think it is, but maybe it is. Who knows? If not, you can go back to shows and look at the actual list of shows they have and check them out from there. So, moving on, I thought this was a pretty cool Raspberry Pi project, not for Odroid. A 3D printed Raspberry Pi SkyCam for drone-free aerial video. So this kind of sets up like what you see in football games and things like that, where you have that SkyCam free floating around the whole field. That's what this sets up, but you can 3D print everything you need. So I thought that was pretty cool. And here is a crazy laptop. I did not know that any laptops had curved screens, but apparently MSI had done one previously, and now
they do.
Acer, I believe, is the one that this one is doing one as well. This one has a curved screen. It's going to be a gaming laptop, dual 1080s in it. Yes, dual 1080s in your laptop. But the interesting things there are also it has a mouse or a wrist rest on it. And I want you to, I'm almost positive these are just concept pictures because the Cabby processor is not out or even hasn't even really been released or made public really for Intel. So I don't see how they even have a board to support that, but whatever from that side.
No, it's the same architecture. I mean, they already have the chipsets currently support it, and it wouldn't be a matter of BIOS flash, if anything at all, to allow it to work in existing boards, I thought.
Well, past that though, look at the picture that shows you the keyboard there. Do you notice anything missing from this thing? Because something struck me first off.
You're gonna make me look at this, aren't you?
Yeah.
What?
That thing. And just look at the picture with the keyboard on it. There's two of them. The one at the top and the one at the bottom is a little bit nicer picture of it. Different angle, kind of.
Tab it open in.
But I just want everyone to look at that laptop and see if they notice anything missing from there.
It's gonna be a while before I get this. Oh snap! What's that?
There you go, Beavis.
There's no input. Wow, that's pretty bad.
There's no touchpad or mouse capability.
Yeah, because a gaming laptop, you're going to use your own.
I would like to have it there if I need a touchpad. It is still a laptop. I would prefer to be able to use a touchpad on there. It did mention that it has eye tracking technology, which Tobii eye tracking technology, and they say that's cool tech that moves the in-game camera depending on where your eyes are looking. So I mean that would be pretty cool while you're playing a game, but I don't see that working with a mouse pointer very well. But maybe it is. Maybe you just look at what you want to click on and it moves your mouse there, and you can blink or something to click, or I don't know. But that laptop is probably going to be a absurd price of a couple $1,000s at least. So if you're into that, go ahead and start saving up now. Looking for buyers for your firstborn children, things like that. I got some other links. I'm just seeing if there's anything new that came out that's interesting to look at. Oh, so Netflix is going to come out with a new Bill Nye the Science Guy show.
Yay. I was a fan when I was a kid. I don't know what it would be like today.
Yeah, Beavis, that would kill your game score if you had a seizure while playing a game. Although that's probably a bad thing anyway. But this Bill Nye the Science Guy show I'm kind of wondering about because Bill Nye, when he was doing the original Bill Nye the Science Guy show, was not as politically slash however motivated as he is now. He's
yeah. He's a little bit more politically motivated. I would agree with you on that. Yes.
yeah, like, and that's not really even the right term, but like the whole, like he's very very
He likes the sound of his
He's a
voice now.
fruitcake.
that, but it's more that he's like all of the science stuff, like he's very adamant about certain
No,
things.
what you mean? He doesn't. He's not even leaving himself open to like. No, you're wrong. I mean, no. He just he's very straight to the point, and he doesn't leave much room for any sort of.
Scientists really shouldn't accept anything as fact anyway.
Yeah.
But you know, he. Man,
I hope he doesn't bring that to the show, and that it'll be a.
I don't see how he could. I don't think kids
original
are going to be interested in that. So.
Well, they're pandering to new millennial people, is what
Yeah.
they said in that. So I think it's more for the young adults to adults that watch Bill Nye the Science Guy growing up, which that could be really cool. Maybe we'll have some more advanced things than learning how the solar system works. Like maybe we'll learn some things about like how planets are composed or something else that's more. I'm thinking like maybe something more like Cosmos, but not as cool and hippie-ish, but more weird and whatever from there. So we'll see what happens, how it goes. This is another new news link that I just saw that I did see some reports about the Samsung Galaxy Note 7 getting delayed. I did not know why, but I did see some hints and mentions at quality control was the one that was holding them up. And apparently this picture shows that a Note 7 exploded. Good reason to hold up on shipping them out to customers, I feel. So, and that phone looks completely destroyed. I hope that was not in someone's pocket when that happened. Let's see what else we got new here. Google's going to start coming out with a ride-sharing service that's going to be using Waze as the way to get around that. I don't know how that's going to play out. Starting in, yeah, Beavis. They're just starting in San Francisco, I believe, with it and seeing how it plays out. But everybody's claiming it to be an Uber killer, which honestly, with the way Google's been going, I don't feel like they're going to be a killer of any other company anytime soon. Let's see what else we got before I move on to the stuff that I had before. Oh, there's a cool Mario related thing. Someone set up 81,000 dominoes in the shade of Mario stuff, inspired stuff, it looks like. So that's actually pretty neat looking. I didn't get to watch the video on there, but that's still pretty cool. see what else we got. Anything else really good? Nope. I'll check one more time. Nothing so far. Oh, I'm surprised nobody's posted or mentioned the fact that Kim.com's extradition trial is going to be live streamed. I'm not going to post a link for it right now because there's nothing to watch, but once they come out with that link, I'm sure we'll mention it because that will be interesting to see. I've first never seen a extradition trial before or know exactly how those proceedings go down. Is it like a regular trial or how that is all handled? I mean, obviously the extradition is going to be based off of the company that you're being extradited from, I would imagine, not the country that you're being extradited to. But things like that would be interesting to me. So, I thought this was a pretty cool Lifehacker article. If you're not good at holding yourself accountable and getting stuff done, there's a process here to have a dead man snitch, and I believe it uses a couple different programs: To-Do List, Zapier, and Dead Man Snitch. And from what I gathered, it's essentially going to call you out to the world and make you feel really bad on social media that you didn't do what you had planned to do or said you were going to do. So it kind of gives you some boost into getting stuff done to prevent that from happening. Although Dead Man Snitch kind of seems like a interesting program idea concept that maybe might be useful for other things. Thought this was cool. We get to see some of the villains on the new Doctor Strange movie coming up. The video they have there is just shows off some of the ones, but doesn't really have that much coming out to you for you. So, oh, I thought this one was interesting. So apparently there is a login bug with Google authentication methods. So when you sign in with your Google account, apparently it uses a get parameter that's fairly weak at the end of it, and that could be used and exploited to either grab your credentials or send you to another phishing page or something to that effect. And they actually reported it to Google, and Google was like, yeah, it's not a bug, we're not worried about it. So this person was like, okay, well, then you won't mind me releasing it to the entire world and seeing how that turns out for you. So see how that goes. Oh, I thought this was weird. So you can't, obviously you can't eat this watermelon because if it can survive a 150-foot drop, it's probably not going to be easy to cut open again. But they have some spray-on coating, and they did it on a watermelon and then dropped it from 150 feet, and it just bounces, doesn't break. It's pretty cool. See if they have Line X spray. Let's see what that stuff is all about. Protection when it matters most. Line Exit. That's on that page there. So it looks like it was made for like truck bedding stuff originally. Oh, they did do a cool red cup demo of it. That's pretty neat. I wonder if how your cell phone would be covering it in that. Maybe they'll start coming out with cell phone cases that are made of that. That'd be pretty neat. Michael, what's your internet doing?
I don't know, what is it doing?
I don't know, Beavis is saying the Twitch feed is down, but it's still showing going for me. Let's see. We'll see in a second if it picks that up. Yeah, looking okay to me. So yeah, Beavis, your internet's broken. So let's see. Had some other interesting things. Oh, Proctor's not here. I thought he would be the one that would be most interested in this one. Some people apparently had some lightsabers and battled Roman candles with it. That's pretty cool and dangerous. But it makes it look like the lightsabers are actually working and real, so that's pretty cool. I thought Glenn would like this one. This is a tornado, a bunch of tornado spewing storms. So you can watch tornadoes gather and start. And it does look pretty crazy. What else we got? So, have any of y'all heard of WinNTSetup weather map? It looks like a pretty nice weather map alternative if you've been looking for one of those. It's an interactive live map, so that's always good for weather. And looks like it's pretty cool. It shows you airflow and things like that, so you can gauge upcoming storms even easier. Let's see what else we got. Oh, if anyone saw the terrible Sausage Party movie, here's some video clip of them doing it in real life. What?
Why would you watch a movie called that?
Because the trailer made it look really, really funny. It's about grocery store items coming to life and taking a life of their own. It did some interesting parallels between real life, like they were basically making fun of organized religion throughout the whole movie, because all the grocery store food thinks that we're gods and we're taking them to heaven when we're actually taking them to hell in food's minds. It did have some funny points, but I would not watch it again, and I would not recommend it to anybody. So this is interesting, I thought, as well. There's a show called Stan Against Evil coming out, and it's got the John C. McGinley, who's been in Scrubs and Office Space, and it's along the same lines of Ash vs. Evil Dead, which we all love here. So might be interesting, might be pretty good. The John C. McGinley was the taller, slimmer person that came in to interview everybody and consolidate the workforce in Office Space. So he was pretty funny. But yeah, that looks interesting, I thought. Oh man, here's the scariest thing that ever could happen in the world, happening right in the middle of Manhattan. A sinkhole swallowed a fancy SUV. I think sinkholes are the scariest things that nature can do. Which Ghostbusters movie was it that they had the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man?
The first
The
one.
one with the dudes.
Well, they had two with the dudes, didn't
It was
they?
the first one.
Okay, yeah. So I thought this was how that movie should have ended. I don't care how they made it happen, but I think instead of capturing the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, they should have made him melt like this. That would have been way cooler.
I thought they did make him melt. Or he splat.
He exploded, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end, he exploded everywhere.
Hmm.
Yes, Futures Tech Quark. I would say, why would anyone buy a BMW or Lexus or any vehicle like that, SUV? But I mean, I would use an SUV for what they were made for, not just to drive around and be fancy. So, yeah, 55,000 actually is like a lot better price than from what I've seen on other ones. Like Lexus, I know is at least 60,000. The Porsche one, I think, is at least 80,000. It's ridiculous having a luxury SUV, though, in my opinion. Like, seriously, that doesn't make sense to me. So, I thought this was pretty cool. Oh, and yeah, Beavis, that's crazy. Y'all had a city bus fall into a sinkhole last week out in Arizona, Phoenix there. So, gosh, sinkholes are crazy, man. They can pop up anywhere. I am like super worried that our house is going to fall into a sinkhole at any time because we actually do have some small sinkholes around here. So I'm like worried that just one morning we're going to wake up with the whole house collapsing in and we'll be in a big, huge thing of water. But moving on from that, now Johnny's going to be scared to go to sleep at night.
Silly.
PlayStation Now, you can play on Windows PCs, Windows 7, 8, and 10, and it requires a least of 5 megabits per second internet connection, 2 gigs RAM, 300 megs hard drive, and a 3.5 gigahertz processor. I'm guessing, honestly, this might be the way that they get away from consoles and start getting people to use real computers for their gaming purposes. If it's what I think it is, which I haven't signed up for it or played it, it's cool because they're going to have you're going to be able to play PlayStation games on your PC and not have to buy a PlayStation. That's what they should have been doing all along. And especially with Xbox being so integrated into Windows 10, I'm sure that's why they finally went that route. Oh, and speaking of crazy, ridiculous laptops, did anyone know that, well, first, does anyone know who John Ellaby is? No? Apparently, he is the godfather of the modern laptop, and if you'd like to meet him, unfortunately, he passed away on August 17th.
Bradley, jeez,
75.
come on, man.
What?
If you'd like to meet him, you're out of luck.
Pretty much.
Oh boy.
Problem in that. But NMS port from P4 to PC. Oh, No Man's Sky. Dude, there's nothing wrong with No Man's Sky on the PC. It's absolutely fine. People don't know how to use their computers, then they shouldn't be playing PC games. That's what consoles are for. I downloaded it the first day and fired it up, and everything worked perfect for me. So, don't know what the port problem is. It doesn't suck. You don't know what you're talking about. So they are making a Blade Runner 2. I hope everyone is aware. But apparently they had a worker die in an accident on the set of Blade Runner 2. I'm assuming it wasn't Ryan Gosling, Harrison Ford, Jay Leto, or Mackenzie David and Robin Wright, since they probably would have made more of a fuss about it. Not just said some set worker died in an accident. They've been like, Harrison Ford died. I understand the refund. I understand all of that stuff with No Man's Sky. I honestly am saying that I truly believe it's because people don't know how to do it. And actually, Phoenix, you're incorrect on that. Steam is not allowing refunds on it. And majority of the people don't like the game because they're expecting a hand-holding game that walks them through and lets them do stuff. They're not playing the game correctly, and honestly, they shouldn't be playing the game if they want a refund for it already. They have no idea. So Johnny had brought this up to us yesterday, and I don't know if she wants to take it on. She's not listening. Probably talking to somebody else, not even listening to the show.
We're talking to a customer, dude.
Maybe she is. So this is something she brought up yesterday and was freaked out about, and we'll go ahead and just ask everyone out there, do you know what the Family of Bears was? That was a childhood story. Probably you would have seen it in books, or they did have an animated series for a little while. I'll give you a few seconds to think about it.
Well, well, I guess everyone can say it that in their own heads or around the office or wherever, but I'll just go ahead and say Berenstein is what we all thought it was.
Yeah, and everybody, I thought it was when Johnny first asked me. That's what she thought it was. That's what Proctor thought. We all agreed with it. And apparently it is Berenstain Bears.
Berenstain, yes.
Yeah,
it's like I heard that actually on the cartoon a long time ago when Wyatt was watching that. He was younger.
That it was Berenstain.
Yeah, but it really tripped me out.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like this is the perfect example of time traveler timeline messing things up. Like, honestly, if that was like the one thing that a time traveler could do was go back and change that E to an A when it first started out, that would be the awesome, like that would be the best ripple effect test that you could come up with. Like, completely innocuous, doesn't change anything. It still provides great content for kids and meaningful stories, and it just messes with everybody after that time ripple. So I feel like the time ripple theory is probably the most realistic in this case. There's an entire Reddit thread, of course, about this, but it's apparently a conspiracy theory, and the major outlook on it is the Mandela effect, which is where people vividly remember Mandela dying in prison, although he was released from prison and died several years later. But people vividly remember that happening that way when it's not actually true, and a large majority of people vividly remember that. So interesting way, but
Isn't that the definition of a lie?
Beavis says like the first time he realized the movie should have been Beetle Guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, Beetlejuice, Beetle Guys, yeah. I still think it's the time ripple effect. That's the only logical explanation, because it definitely was Bernstein Bears, not Bernstein. But I guess we'll never know. Bernstein.
Yeah, that's why I was like, it's not Stain, it's Stein? Oh, Stain.
Yeah, that's definitely not correct. So, um, anyway,
I mean, surely somewhere there's an old little book, children's book that somebody's grandma still got that's got the way it was.
well, no,
I
see,
think it
that's
was. I think it was spelled that way, though. It's
And
just
that could.
theoretically though, Tank. It's every mention of it has been Bernstein. And the time ripple effect that would take care of that, because essentially they would go back to when the original writer came up with the idea and just make that slight change in their notes and change it from a E to an A. And then the writer even would just be like, oh, I wrote A, well, I'll just keep writing A. And they would make the books and stories thereafter be an A. But since we're in the time ripple parallel universe, we would see the changes of the time ripple, but our memories aren't actually altered from it. And I mean, that's the only part that breaks the time ripple theory, because I feel like our memories would be changed with a time ripple effect. But in this situation, our memories stayed, but the actual things all changed about it. So I guess that's kind of why the Mandela effect is probably the closest, and Stain versus Stein is easily confusable, especially if you have animated bear characters as probably your biggest reference to someone saying it out loud. Could be, but you know, don't spend too long. Don't keep yourself up at night about it. This one is a very important video to me. It is a Vox video of why you shouldn't drive in the left lane. And, you know, I just thought people were being aggravating and not knowing what or just being aggravating and being like, oh, well, I'm going the speed limit. I can be in the fast lane if I want. But apparently there are actually people out there that don't understand that the left lane is not for you to just cruise along and drive in on a highway or interstate. Cities, it's different. In city limits, you can just cruise along in the left lane, but it's different on a highway and interstate. But apparently there are actually people out there that did not know that you should not just go in the left lane and stay there. I've actually had to yell at Johnny a couple times of, why are you in the left lane? You should be in the right lane. There's nobody in the right lane, and there's a guy on your butt. He wants to pass. He doesn't want to pass illegally, so you should be in the correct lane. And she knows that. She just sometimes...
It's because I gotta watch for the deer. I want that extra lane.
Yeah, but it's actually illegal. And
it's not illegal. It's only illegal where posted.
No, it's illegal in majority of the states. Watch that video. You'll learn some things. It is actually illegal. It's not enforced a lot of the times, but places like Washington and a lot of those western states where we did see it posted more are actually cracking down on it, because it's actually more dangerous for you to drive slowly in the fast lane than it is for someone to speed excessively.
That's why truckers hate you.
What? Huh?
When you do that. That's why
when you drive in the slow lane?
Yeah. In the fast lane.
Oh, yeah. When you drive in the fast lane, you're driving slow. That
honestly,
call it
the hammer lane in a lot of cases, but it's also known as the passing lane.
Yeah, that is what it is.
Yeah, and why is it that trucks are always so readily get out of your way if they're, you know, using the left lane to maybe get around another, you know?
They were taught how to drive.
Yeah.
Now that is not true,
I would go by.
That is not always true, because we just did a trip from Georgia, and I had 2 different occasions where trucks went for
it's happened to me. It's happened to me. Right, that's when they get pissed at you. But that's when they get pissed at you, and that's when they gang up on you.
What they're doing? No, Brantley, what they're doing? Are they side by side?
Yeah.
Basically, okay. What they're doing is they know there's a cop around the area. So they're going to get side by side and piss off a bunch of people behind them so that they can then get in the right lane when they think that the cop, that they're in the area where the cops are going to be. So what you do instinctively is speed up and go the hell past them at your, because you're all mad and stuff, and then the cops pull you, and then they know where the cops are. That's
Okay.
what
Does sound very logical.
My dad, was a truck driver, he explained this to me very carefully. He said, if you ever see them doing that, do not speed around them.
No,
And
I wouldn't. You know what? I wouldn't honestly mind if that was the case and they were going the speed limit. But when they're not going the speed limit, when they end up going 10 miles under the speed limit, that's when
because they're really trying to make sure you're going to help them out.
Not once have I ever seen a cop or been pulled over because of that, though.
I have not either, but then again, I haven't been doing that from a fairly young age because I listened to Dad a little, in those ways. But
it's
I do see people do it. I do see people do it a lot. It works well, and honestly, I do it to other people too.
I'm going to start taking plate numbers and calling them in so that they do get pulled over, and just doing random.
But I never go under the speed limit unless you're too far up my butt.
Yeah, and see, in my case, I feel like it's more of one or the other is just a shitty truck driver, because it always ends up that like one truck is going slower, and that's why this truck decides to pass, and then they end up doing it stupidly because there's a hill right after they start to pass them. So they get in the fast lane and they start trying to pass them, and they are passing them, but then they hit that hill and both trucks end up slowing down.
Yeah.
This truck just speeds back up at the same pace, and then they just stay paced together. It's
Beavis knows what I was talking about. He's talking about getting a CB and listen to him decide to block a car in. He used to run with a CB in his truck. I did too, actually, a long time ago.
Yeah, I used to do that on road trips too.
Torino.
And I was telling Johnny that that's why I was actually glad that I didn't have CB, is because I would be cussing them out straight up and down, and getting them pissed off to the point where I'd probably get killed by a truck driver.
I know. Did you see that movie where the truck driver, like, they were fucking with some truck driver on the oh gosh, I'm sorry, excuse my language, it's not Friday, on the CB, and then like the rest of the movie, he was just trying to kill these kids.
Yeah, there was like three. A 3-part series of that movie, I think. But what was the other one, the really good one, where the trucks came to life and tried to kill people?
Oh, that was a Stephen King movie. Yeah, Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
Yeah, that had that had Emilio in it. Didn't it have one of the estimates?
I don't remember. I just remember
Charlie Sheen or one.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Emilio.
Anyway, I remember, man, what was the name of that movie now? So that's gonna aggravate me. It was like Twinkle Night or something. It didn't have anything to do with truck driving in the name. Jacob's Ladder or something, maybe. Jacob something. Anyway, the first one was kind of interesting. The sequels thereafter were not interesting. I saw an interesting twist on that, but I forget the name of the movie, which was they pissed off a tow truck driver, and the tow truck driver ended up being a serial killer and all that stuff. So Smokey and the Bandit, that's way off, Beavis. It's way off. They didn't piss off truck drivers in that. They were like friends with the truck drivers in that, setting up convoys and such.
Well, yeah, that was one of the main characters. I bet they were doing the whole deciding to block in cars in that show. I don't know. I don't remember it really.
Well, now I'm gonna have to find out what the name of that movie is. So that'll be our last task of today's show. Joyride.
That's it. That's the one I was talking about, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joyride, and I want to say that they had a Joyride 2 and 3.
I didn't see
They
those.
definitely had. Yep, they
Hey,
had
wait, was
Joyride.
one in Australia? Because I saw one that was kind of similar. No, kind of similar, but it was they were in Australia.
There's Joyride 1. You can, and Joyride 2 and 3 are in the people who also like this section, so you can look more into it. The first one was interesting enough. The second and third one, I don't even know if I watched the third one. The second one, I was definitely not interested in. So, all right. Well, I'm glad we got that mystery solved, and we've made it to our hour today. Oh, I did have one other thing, follow up from yesterday's show. We posted the HBO series trailer for Westworld, and Nick had mentioned that it was actually a movie from 1973, and
Yep.
that movie has any basis for what they're doing on the new show. It's going to be amazing. I actually did end up watching it last night, and it was a great movie for its time period.
Sure, shit was.
I'm
Sorry.
really, it was kind of like it was kind of cut short though. Like it didn't have as much character development and things like that as I would be
Yeah.
you were
Yeah.
expecting, but
Yeah.
they had a great story. The timing of everything was perfectly fine. It's not like I felt like they should have cut anything out. I felt like the movie probably could have gone on for another hour with some further character developments and things like that, but it does seem like they kind of were like, all right, we've gotten up to this point. We wanted to get this major point across, so let's just go ahead and do it and move on. And the movie kind of ends that way too. I am probably going to watch the follow up, which I don't think Nick has seen, but Tank said
I
he
haven't.
likes pretty much, which is called Future World. So that'll be interesting. But man, if HBO continues to make great series like they have been with this one, and they follow the same plot line and story basis, which it seems like from the preview that they are, and it's just updated with modernized CGI and things like that, and the great actor lineup that they have for the cast, I don't see how it can be a terrible show. Like everything is there to make it great. So if they make it terrible, it's going to be hard for them to do that. But it was really, really good. Highly looking forward to the show now. Thank you again, Nick, for pointing out the movie to me. And highly recommend anyone else to watch it, especially if you're going to watch that show. So I think that should wrap us up for today. Did anybody else have anything they want to throw out, say, mention? Okay. Did anyone watch that video that I posted? Proctor said sweet to it, but no one else watched it. Okay, I want somebody else to watch it.
Michael watched it.
Oh, we're talking about your video. Absolutely, I watched it.
He said you sounded like you were about to fall asleep.
Yeah, you sounded tired. You sounded very tired in it. But other than that,
it took me. I'll explain it later, but it's aggravating trying to do a video recording on something that depends that much on timing. I'll say that much. So should I go ahead and just make that public? It's an unlisted one right now.
I think that's fair for everyone out there. I thought it was a good quality, good enough at least for that.
Right.
What are we talking about?
The link I posted in the chat of the honeypot detection that I got working.
Well, okay. Well, I take that back. Can we discuss one thing right after the show, and then depending upon what your thoughts on that, then you can post it.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and PM Phoenix with it. So Phoenix, check your PM. You can watch this video because it was you that suggested testing out this ransomware, and I'd been saying that I was going to get you a video of it doing it or show it off. So there's that. If you want to check it out, we're going to talk more about it, and then we may edit it, delete it, redo it, whatever, and we'll go from there. So thanks everyone for watching. Join us tomorrow at 4 p.m. if we are mainly here to provide you with support and answer any questions about our products and services. So if you do want to do that and take advantage of our time for that, join us tomorrow at 4 p.m. We'll be more than happy to ignore anything that we had planned for tomorrow and focus on that instead. So
I saw that you were going to try to like ignore what you're saying. You're like, ignore.
I've got to see somebody for my eye tomorrow, so I won't be on the show. But you guys take care, and I hope it's a great one.
Yep, and Beavis does mention Stranger Things Season 2 teaser trailer came out today. I did see that. I didn't post it because it's just a list of the episode names. That's not a tease to me, nor is that should be a trailer. It's actually retarded. So, thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you tomorrow, and great rest of your week.
All right, I guess I'll take us out.
Hi, everybody.
Twitch should be stopped, and